I need to say I'm sorry. I voted for him. I thought he was going to help folks like me. I really did. Now my SNAP's gone, my Medicaid's gone. They cut off my heat and help last week. I don't know how I'm supposed to buy groceries next month or keep the lights on.
He's starving his own constituents so that he can blame Democrats for them not having food to further divide this country, while he keeps all the money for himself and his friends.
Y'all know who y'all won't see complaining about the food stamps? The immigrants. Because they don't qualify. But you know who you will see? Little Karen with 4 or 5 kids with 5 different baby daddies.
Hey y'all, come look at this. This is a food bank somewhere in white folk Nebraska. And what y'all notice? First of all, that line longer than a motherfucker, boy. And there ain't 9 niggas in that line. They don't show this shit on the news right here. Look at all them goddamn hungry white folk. I wonder which way they voted. They probably didn't want to wear their MAGA hats. It ain't time to rally for Trump. Right now it's time to rally up something to eat. Who y'all think they blame for this? Boy, I bet there's some hell of a goddamn information going on in those lines. Out of all those white folk out there, how many of them do y'all think use wash rags? But for real, this just shows that we all hurting, man. All that narrative about single mama, Tyrone this, Tyrone that. When there's so many people that use SNAP benefits from different walks of life that really need that help, man. And that's the part we're not really showing.
I just saw a post explaining MAGA women, and it makes so much sense. We wonder why people vote against their best interest, but this creator said that MAGA women were the pick-me girls when they were younger. They were pretty, or at least average, and they got a lot of attention from men. And patriarchy does not tend to reward women as they age. Women are worth more to patriarchy when they are young and childbearing, and when they start to see that they are not being favored by this system, they become Karens, and that's how Karens happen. And Karens vote against their best interest because they think they're still being favored by the patriarchy. Jesus Christ. All of that makes so much sense.
Looks like all you EBT holders, if you want to go in and take shit that you think is...
Oh, baby, I got time for you today. I pulled up some data from Social Explorer, if anyone else wants to go see it. Red states have a high number of SNAP recipients. Analysis shows that many counties with disproportionately high SNAP usage voted for Donald Trump in the 2020 election. 4 out of every 5 counties that have seen an increase in SNAP benefits since 2010 all voted for Donald Trump. So fuck off.
You ever notice how MAGA doesn't really talk about poverty until someone white and conservative starts feeling it? Like suddenly it's not lazy people on welfare anymore. It's how am I gonna feed my kids? Right now, social media is full of these videos, people wearing red hats, waving flags, tears in their eyes, saying they cut our SNAP benefits, we got nothing. And for the first time, a lot of these people are realizing something uncomfortable, that the folks who voted to shrink the safety net are actually the biggest group relying on it. Subscribe to the channel if you're new, hit that like button, let's get into it.
Do you want to see what the food bank gave me this morning? I'll show you.
Why some of the new poor people complain so much about food bank food. I would be so fucking happy just to get any of that she got right there. Okay, that's how you can tell the difference between new poor and old poor. The new poor don't know how to fucking survive for shit. Okay, if you don't want that food bank food, give it to somebody else or trade with somebody else. Go like, hey, look, I got a few boxes of Oreos. I'll trade you for like 2 cans of peas or some onions or maybe some vegetables. Why is it the new poor complain so much about food bank food? You guys would not fucking survive. That's why old poor, like we old poor, I would be so happy to get any of that shit. Like, seriously.
Oh, well, Luke, you can't just say that all MAGA are bad people. Oh, yes, I can. Yes, I fucking can. And you know why? It's because to these soulless, vacuous, human fucking husks, children with empty stomachs are inconsequential just as long as the libs get owned and the rich get richer. And you will never convince me that that is not indicative of moral fucking bankruptcy. It should not be controversial to say, yeah, kids should get fucking fed, and yet these pieces of shit are fighting tooth and fucking nail to say it is. Setting aside the laundry list of abhorrent shit that these people have looked past up to this point, the racism, the bigotry, the sexual abuse, and the insurrection attempt, setting all of that aside, at this precise point in history, you are arguing for children to go hungry so they can be used as leverage to make healthcare more expensive for the people who need the most fucking help. In the immortal words of Dr. Kelso, these people are bastard-coated bastards with bastard filling. That's it. There is no scenario where history looks back and goes, yeah, those were the good people. There isn't.
Millions of MAGA Republicans use SNAP benefits too. And who has the White House and conservative media been training them over the last couple of weeks to blame when they lose their SNAP benefits in November? I don't know if this is an issue people have been considering when we're talking about the consequences of what's going to happen when people don't have food to eat in November and they start seeing their children starving. But this is something that's starting to keep me up at night. Because see, when MAGA Republicans lose their SNAP benefits and they don't have food to feed to their kids, everyone is assuming that they're going to turn against the Trump administration, that they're going to somehow flip blue. And y'all, I'm just not convinced that that's going to happen. As somebody who grew up around these people, I'm not convinced that that's going to happen. They have been told over and over and over again that the reason that the government is shut down and then the reason that they're going to lose their food benefits is because the Democrats are keeping the government shut down. And to ground level MAGA Trump supporters that are on SNAP benefits that are just trying to survive, they're not seeing the difference between congressional Democrats and the Democrat that lives down the street from them. They're all the same. They're all the same to them. And obviously a natural consequence of this is going to be a rise in looting and theft. There's going to be runs on grocery stores. But a secondary consequence of this is that there are going to be people pissed off looking for somebody to take out their anger on. You can't convince me otherwise that MAGA Republicans on SNAP benefits who have been told over and over and over again that Democrats are the reason their kids are going to go hungry every night in November, that when they see their neighbor down the street that they know votes Democrat, that has the same job as them, makes the same amount of money as them, lives on the same street as them, eating on Thanksgiving, and they're starving and have nothing in their pantry, that they're not going to blame that neighbor down the street. They're not going to go and maybe steal all the food out of their house and cause physical harm to them and their family. You're talking about people that are so deep into the cult, they are so far gone that they will never blame Donald Trump for anything that has ever happened to them. Everything bad that happens to them over the next 3 years, they're going to blame on the Democrats. These people losing their SNAP benefits and watching their children starve is not going to be what's going to flip them. They are not going to turn against the Trump administration. They're just going to find somebody else to blame, and it's going to get ugly.
This bill that they passed is the largest wealth transfer from the poor to the rich in American history. All the money is going toward the military and toward the rich and toward corporations and taking from the poor. And a lot of the poor are the people that he promised he was going to get prices down for. Taking away SNAP is just going to raise prices in grocery stores because that's actual business. That's how these people buy food. And if they're not getting that $42 billion worth of business, then the prices are going to go up for everybody. That's just fucking common sense. But it's more important that you feel superior and say, well, people are taking advantage of the system, so they shouldn't have food. You don't think kids should have food because their parents might be taking advantage of the system? You don't think children should have food because their parents are in the military and their mother's working an extra job just to pay for their childcare, but they can't afford food and childcare, so those benefits help them afford to feed their children so that they can continue to work in order to pay for childcare? You think everybody that's on food stamps is somebody that's just not wanting to work because that's what this fucking president told you? That's what these fucking Republicans, these Christians told you? Y'all are fucking demons, man. Demons.
Alright folks, let's talk about what SNAP actually is and why it matters before we get into the drama. Let's clear something up. SNAP, the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program isn't just some handout for people who don't want to work. It's literally the thing that keeps millions of working families from going hungry every single month. You know, SNAP helps around 40 million Americans at any given time. Most recipients are actually kids, the elderly, or working poor families, people who have jobs but still can't afford food because of rent, gas, and inflation. It's not a luxury, it's a survival mechanism. Now, when those benefits get cut out or delayed, it's not just some number on the spreadsheet. That's dinner, lunch, breakfast disappearing overnight. Now, number two, we have to talk about the recent SNAP shock and what actually happened. Earlier this year, SNAP benefits were reduced after temporary pandemic boosts expired. Then state-level funding chaos made it worse. For a lot of families, that meant losing between $90 to $250 a month in food assistance. For folks already living paycheck to paycheck, that's catastrophic. Now, imagine you plan every meal, every grocery trip down to the dollar, and then suddenly your food budget just vanishes. That's gonna bring you fear, that's gonna bring you panic. And that's what we are seeing in those viral MAGA meltdown videos. Number three, what is the irony and who really uses, Now here is where it gets comfortable, especially for the people screaming, get off welfare. According to the USDA, white Americans make up the largest share of SNAP's recipients. White Americans make up the largest share of SNAP recipients, roughly between 36 to 38%. Black Americans up to 25%. So when you hear welfare queen stereotypes or people blaming minorities for using the system, that's propaganda. The math says otherwise. It's not that white people are more dependent, it's that they are the biggest share of the population. And poverty doesn't discriminate by color, it's systematic. Number four, we have to talk about why so many MAGA voters need SNAP. If we are being real, a lot of rural conservative areas are struggling economically. Farming costs are, factory jobs are gone, farming costs is up, wages are stagnant, healthcare expensive. For context, many of these counties voted overwhelmingly Republican, and they also depend heavily on programs like SNAP, Medicaid, Social Security. And the irony, the same politicians promising to cut entitlement are cutting programs their own voters rely on. So what looks like a MAGA meltdown is really people waking up to how deep the economic pain runs and realizing the system they supported doesn't protect them either. Now, that is a FAFO moment. You F around, now you're finding out. Let me know in the comments, guys. What do you think about today's episode? Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Hit that like button. See you in the next episode.